one. In the upper left, folks. In the red for Katowice Gaming, formerly known as Time, Oliveira.
And his opponent, spawning down in the bottom right for Team Liquid, it is the Micro Man, the darling, Clem. He is just so outstanding. He's a player that we really hold in high regard, and it's easy to forget that, you know, he's first of all so young, and second of all, it's easy to forget that he's human. We see some of the wins he takes against players like Cyril, against players like Raynor, and we just kind of expect that to translate against every other player in the world, but that's not necessarily how StarCraft works. That's where the strategy, a real-time strategy, comes in, and that's why players like Dark are such deadly opponents, is they find ways to win against players that can execute as well as Clem.
Although, Steadfast, I do want to take issue with one thing. You talk about Clem as being human. I don't think so. I think that he is just an automaton that has been built in the Team Liquid. I mean, you've seen the Team Liquid facility. You've been to the Team Liquid facility. It's like a spaceship. It makes sense that they just have some sort of fancy 3D printer that just puts together the most perfect European Terran that has ever existed. And just, there we go. We got Clem, E5L winner.
E5L, exactly. That is actually a pretty huge accomplishment. People were talking about the G5L, but the E5L with Raynor and Cyril constantly just coming at you is a damn fine result. There's no doubt of that. And we are going to be seeing Cyril and Raynor later today, but for now, we're focused on these two gentlemen as they've got mirrored builds so far. Neither one of them getting a quick reactor for their barracks. They're both playing as standard as you can, and even a step above that. Like, it's quite common to go single Reaper into reactor, but that can leave you a little bit exposed. Usually, though, players will go 2 Reapers in a reactor. So to go all 3 Reapers for both of them to do that, it shows that they're both showing a lot of respect to one another. And they're both saying, like, okay, we do not want to die to anything. And I got to say, I like that. But we might see Oliveira. Looks like he wants to go for a potential dive into the main base with his 3 Reapers. And if Clem is not instantly paying attention, he could lose a few SCVs. But if he is, he might find himself, you know, free couple pickoffs.
Ooh, look at that. So he's trying to bait it out here. Hellion in the natural says, hey, Clem, run after me. But the Reapers, they're actually not diving into the main base just yet. How far? He's not going to drag him out far enough. Time does not take advantage of the opportunity he built for himself. And the Reapers, they're just sitting there. It was a cool idea, Steadfast, but looks like Oliveira not all that interested in going for it.
Yeah, no, Clem smelled that bait from a mile away. That was way too obvious. It was a cute move. And if it works, that's fantastic. He probably picks off like 5 SCVs. But Clem wasn't born yesterday. He was born like the day before that. Like, he's young, but he's not that young, you know? And he's nobody's fool. So good job to avoid that bait. This could still pay off, though. Absolutely could still pay off. The fact that he's not trying to... Oh, okay. Does it work now?
No.
It might be a push in earnest, but look at this. Oh, my God. He sniffs it out. He sniffs out that something didn't add up. That is actually some great game sense right there from Clem.
Yeah, it's so unfortunate for Oliveira, though, right? He kept his Reapers so far back so they didn't get scouted, but if he had had his Reapers just at the 3rd, he could have, actually twice now, he could have jumped in and found the value. But I guess a bird in hand is worth 2 in the bush here. He gets back and does not lose anything, but now here goes. This is one of the advantages of aggress spawn. You can get into the natural from multiple locations, so despite the fact that Oliveira had opportunity to get damage done, it's Reapers from Clem that are going to find the reverse blow. 3 workers go down, and Oliveira not even responding to it. He's not cutting him off in the pass. He's not getting any counter damage, although he's going to hold the high ground here with the Hellion, so he should knock down these Reapers of Clem at the very least, but the amount... Okay, nice cycle and lock on. That should be the end of it. And he does not lose a single Reaper as well. So, Steadfast, Oliveira loses 3 SCVs, knocks down all the map control from Clem. Stilo mismo, right?
No, that's better for Clem for sure. Definitely better. Those Reapers are like, they're losing value very quickly. There is still potential that Oliveira does something with this right now, but that's better for Clem for sure. Good cutoff, the fact that he keeps all his Reapers alive, but yeah, I think that's a great trade for Clem. If you can get 3 SCVs like that, you're gonna take that and run. Now, we do have to mention that the third command center was a little bit faster for Oliveira, so he's going to be able to make up that small little SCV disadvantage. He'll be able to get back within like 2 SCVs probably by the time this lands.
Ooh.
And he's pretty much already there. Scan comes down, sees the barracks. Both players going for Ravens, but it is Clem cutting 1 Raven compared to his opponent, and Oliveira, he's going to move forward. This is where we're going to see the new auto turrets not in action, potentially. Uh-oh. Clem, though, kind of moving out of position. He does see this with the Marine. He actually gets distracted by the Reapers in his natural expansion, so Oliveira returning the favor and just backing away with the main push. Okay, that's not bad. So he finds a little bit of value with those Reapers, and they're still alive. Oh, but nice depot.
Yeah, no, it looks like we just saw Oliveira ran on the map, right? He got scouted by the single Marine, and despite having that Raven advantage, just not worth going for. And yes, Oliveira does strike back. He does get 2 workers, but that was 1 less worker than Clem got, and Clem got that damage done like, what, 3 minutes ago? So it's worth even more. But at the end of the day, hey, you know, natural or third base on position that has equalized things for the most part. Clem's got a little more army supply, but Steadfast, it's TVT. It's Gressvon. It's a massive map. A supply doesn't really matter all that much so long as you got tanks.
Yes, and even more so than that, so long as you're in position with those tanks. It really comes down to, do you give your opponent any openings? Now, something that's pretty important, Clem has not gotten his armory just yet. Oh, as I say that, he starts it up. So, okay, it's like 10 seconds late, but it's not that bad. It could be a lot worse. We see that on the other side, Oliveira getting his quite a bit earlier. Clem did have a nice, and does have a nice little upgrade lead timing. It will still translate to probably 20 seconds ahead, give or take. And that's a timing you can absolutely take advantage of. There's opportunities there, but it'll be one of those things like, does Clem realize that? Can he actually do anything with it? Meanwhile, he's sharking around to the top side. Neat little missile turret here from Oliveira, though.
That's a little fun. I mean, it's probably just going to go down to these Marines, and the medevacs are behind, so I don't know how much it's really going to get. Yeah, nothing at all, but it's a fun idea if that's where Clem had decided to go. But Steadfast, you talk about upgrade timings. Those are great. You talk about armor timings. I mean, sure, same deal. But if we look at how Clem and Oliveira are choosing to play here on Gressvon, right? Again, Gressvon is one of the biggest maps in the pool. 8 bases aside, 37 seconds across the map. It's not a base. It's not a map that you end all that quickly. So sensor towers around the third as the Widowmine's going to kill off a Marine, do damage on others. Nice little shot there, but at the end of the day, you do have medevacs to heal those back up. These players are getting ready to sock in for a long one. Already, you get a sensor tower at like 7 minutes at your third base. That's not really a marker of an aggressive player.
Oh yeah, no, you're settling in at least reasonably. I expect both players to take their 4th bases quite quickly, and actually, as I say that, they're both landing them pretty similarly timed, very similar SCV counts. Like you said, this looks like it's going to settle in for a long haul game, and I mean, this is both players being supremely confident in themselves, and both players showing a lot of respect to one another. Now, Oliveira's a little bit out of position, so Clem is going to snipe the sensor tower. That's a nice little move. That's a gas structure. That's expensive. Meanwhile, okay, Scan sees the army of his opponent, and there's not too much of an opening. Uh-oh. Oh, no. Oh, no. No, 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 no. Oh, that's not what we want at all. That's a tank that's not freeing up supply.
Oh, it's a sacrifice, Ted. Everyone knows you got to kill at least one of your tanks in every game you win. It's just, oh, what a great scan there from Oliveira. Yeah, no, he sees the drop.
Really nice info.
Well timed. But yeah, you just gotta sacrifice it. You gotta sacrifice some of your own units to make that happen. But Oliveira's aware this is here, so he's gonna try to go up the ramp. Tank siege up here. Cyclone goes down, but look at the surround coming in from Clem on the right side. The tanks now, they're gonna get shut down. But the tanks of Clem, they're not really firing here as well. And the Marine count looks like it's a little bit too harder for Clem, but well, I don't even know. No Oliveira. He's gonna be able to crunch on through until the tanks that come off cooldown. And now here go the mech firepower of Clem. Knocks it all down, but the Vikings are not gonna land. And what a crazy fight. Oliveira won until he lost.
Very weird fight. Yeah, the Marines really broke through hard on the bottom side, but there was like 9 tanks all sieged up in a tight formation, which allowed Clem to really crush the ground army as it tried to rotate over. It was an engagement that they both kind of stumbled into. Clem's Marines felt a little bit caught, and he was like, oh, I have an opportunity to flank. But Oliveira maybe killed him a little bit faster on the bottom side than he expected. It ends up being a bit of a wash, but in terms of the tank count, Clem comes out pretty far ahead, which is a big deal because he's going for that 8 racks play. He's building 16 Marines at a time, or at least he has the potential to. And that means no transition into late game. We do have Oliveira going for those Ravens. Nice snipe down on one of his opponent's tanks. Good job from Oliveira. But he's going to need to survive for a decent bit of time against what is going to be a lot of aggression. Oh, big scan coming in from Oliveira, but Clem will be able to take down these 2 Liberators that were kind of built a little bit, not randomly, but actually, no, they are kind of just random Liberators. I don't dislike them, but they did go down, and this is looking extremely tough right now for Oliveira. This is a very dangerous moment.
Oh, Steadfast, you got to remember, those Liberators were made because Oliveira owns the air, right? He has this massive Viking lead. And even despite the fact that those Liberators went down, they were bought dearly. That was a bunch of Marines that went down, and it does mean that Clem, yeah, he got a little more damage done, but he's reliant on scans to make that push happen. He's only on, 3 orbitals right now. We're not in that mass orbital expansion pattern just yet, which means that, yeah, once you run out of scans, your pressure's not going to be all that powerful. But Clem is just maneuvering around the map in a beautiful way. He's got first mover's advantage on this 4th base. A couple Marines are going to show up, but Steadfast, this is a game of tanks here, and the first tank, the only tank of Oliveira on the left side, will go down. So now the Marines, they run back, and the tanks by themselves are going to start to shell away at this planetary. Oliveira looks for a drop of his own. He's not going to find it, and the base actually goes down. Oliveira just gives it up, says, I want my SCV somewhere else. But now it's a 3-base Terran, and a medevac from Oliveira goes down.
Yeah, this is a 5-base Clem versus a 3-base Oliveira. At this point, now you've got a bit of a decision as Clem. Do you drop like 4 additional starports and try and rip air control away from your opponent? Or do you keep the aggression on, drop those mass command centers, really take the game from there? He's going to shut down this gas if he scans, by the way. He's really putting the pressure on. Clem is playing great, and we're going to see just a sprint right up the middle. Clem, will he be able to realize this in time? He's oh, interesting. He lifts up into the main base and sends the rest of the medvacs home. This 3-3 could be in danger, but no, it's going to finish up. However, he loses a couple of the Ravens as they pop out. Oh, this is a very strange game. This is going to turn into a base trade.
Oh, I'm here for it. All roads lead to base trades into TVT, and that means, well, here we go. Oliveira kind of has first mover's advantage, right? He gets into the 3rd base, starts targeting the natural down as well. Clem returns home with some of his tanks, but they're just going to go right on down, and now Clem effectively, his production, well, I guess he's still got a couple bases on the left side, and, well, he's going to run with unsieged tanks into the sieged ones. Even still, they will be able to knock down Oliveira's. And Oliveira, look at this. Army supply relatively even. Down a lot in workers, but he finds his way to the main base here. There's already a tank sieged up, though, for Clem, and all the Marines, most of them, will now go down. But even still, the tank line, yeah, it's starting to fall. I worry that Oliveira, despite finding his way into the production of Clem, it's just not enough. Clem should be able to retake this, right? I mean, the Vikings in the air are nice, Steadfast, but there's just not enough on the ground.
No, there is not. Man, if he can get a medevac here and provide high ground vision, I love this tank because that would shut down the last of the mining really for Oliveira. But Clem is going to lose that tank. Meanwhile, the break attempt comes on in from Clem, and he cleans up the majority of the army. Now, I mean, look at the units tab. It's 10 Vikings, 3 Ravens, and only 3 siege tanks for Oliveira. Those Ravens, they're going to need to do a lot of heavy lifting here. Meanwhile, this command center went way too far. Oh, can he land it? Nah, no time. It is going to go down.
And man, Clem just has so many more bases. He's setting up one orbital, was just two, but still setting up one. He's got some extra command centers. He's got these extra 2 mining bases. He did such a good job of expanding out on the map early that even though Oliveira got a lot of economic damage done, it wasn't really enough. That's a beautiful anti-armor missile. And now, well, Clem, he's going to have to back up with his Marines for just a moment. But let's be real, Steadfast. It's the tanks that are all that matter. They can start to shell away at the planetary. They can deny the gas. They can do everything they want to do. But I guess we have one thing we got to look at here, and that is the fact that Oliveira, first of all, I mean, he's building 2 Ravens at a time. But second of all, he's actually going into +3 mech attack. And while +2 is the key number, right? That means you one-shot stim Marines. It will mean his tanks are just a little bit more powerful in these engagements.
Yeah, mostly it's going to be the tank versus tank fights that are going to be so much better for you, which can be very relevant, but I don't know if that's the best use of his resources at this moment. It's good if he gets it, but will he be able to even hold this position? We're seeing a lot of denied mining time here. That's going to let Clem take a big arrow lead. He's got 3 arrows now on his opponent in terms of mineral income. And especially when you're going for this heavy Marine style, that's a big deal. Oliveira right now, he's got 28 SCVs mining at a base. That's not really what you want. Clem keeps darting in here. Oh, he's going to snipe the command center. Gets a Raven as well. Oh, he actually doesn't get the CC. That's pretty big. Nice save there for Oliveira. Clem reaching a little bit too deeply, a little too greedily, trying to get that Raven. He would have killed that command center for sure if he kept targeting it. And I think that's going to be a little bit of a sad Clem right there.
All Steadfast. If he delves a little bit too deeply, I guess the tanks then are the drums that we hear in the deep. But the tanks, I think they're even a little bit scarier because you're right. Oliveira can't mine from this most important base. Yes, he has taken what was once his 4th. He's been able to reestablish that one. But I mean, Clem is just, Clem has the entire right side. He's expanding to take the map. The longer this goes, Clem is building a bank. Oliveira can't even max out. And yes, Ravens are good, Steadfast, but they're not as good as they were last patch. I feel like at this point, I'd rather even just see a bunch of Liberators go out with this sky control that Oliveira has. As he does drop in the main base, it's only Marines, but it's on all the production here. They do have +3. We're going to see a bunch of barracks go down. Tanks go on the high ground, but they're just going to get snapped down here. One goes down, but Oliveira does not chase it onto the low ground because you know what's more important? Factories. And that means you cannot produce nearly as many tanks anymore. Clem is woefully out of position here, running into a meat grinder on the high ground. And as long as Oliveira stays out of that tank range, he should be A-okay. So running away, fighting battle, fighting retreat now for Oliveira. And he is just winning this fight wonderfully. He's going to get on top of the tank, but that's not enough because, well, Clem's tanks run forward. And Oliveira, medevacs, well, they're not even going to go down because Clem ran the other way. It's not enough to put Oliveira back in this game just yet. Not enough to equalize. But it's a hell of a move to get started.
It certainly is. And now Clem once again has that question, that decision point. What do you do? His bank is quite significant, and he is finally going to go into those starports. He's saying, you know what? I've had enough of you having air control. Huge Raven interference matrices only on the right side. Finally gets some of these tanks on the left, but Clem just might have a little too much. It's so close, but the anti-armor missile helping a lot. However, the tanks get up. They wake up from their reverie for Clem, and they will be able to start trading against Oliveira's tanks. And that is going to mean, well, I'm surprised we haven't seen the Vikings landing. There we go. They will finally land now, and that's going to allow him to clean up the last 3 tanks of Clem. Now there's a 20 army supply lead for the Chinese Terran player, and he is struck back in a big way with a pretty good cleanup, but Clem spending his bank and catching up in that army supply pretty quickly. And Clem is just outmining his opponent so hard right now.
Yeah, but Steadfast, mining is one thing, resources lost is another. It's not as bad, honestly, as I thought it was. It's only about 4K now in the advantage of Oliveira. But that is going to be another win condition. You can either mine more or trade better. And with the tank here getting healed on up with +3 versus +2 for just 5 seconds longer, yeah, some SCVs will go down, but it's not like there's a lot of mining. And now here on the left side, Clem tries to find a little bit more, but the Marines, they stem down on the low ground. There are Ravens here. The tanks don't find anything. And again, Clem does not take the trades that he needs. And if this continues, the resources lost gap will continue to increase. We're eventually going to see Oliveira maybe take the north side base that gets scanned out by Clem right now. And it just needs to go a little bit further in Oliveira's late game direction. And, you know, we are going to find our way back into this game, even as Clem has built himself, what is that, 5 more barracks. He's going to be able to build like 30 Marines at a time.
Yeah, he's actually so desperate for the production that he hasn't built reactors, and I think that's a great decision right now. He's so high on the SCV count, and especially until he was taking this base, really made sense for him to just keep up as much marine production as possible and utilize the SCVs instead of, you know, wasting barracks time. Now we are going to see a potential flank coming on in, but this is a really scary position that Oliveira has set up here. Oh, Raven. Oh, gets a big anti-armor missile, hits every single Marine, and that is going to discourage this flank completely. I mean, the anti-armor missile is not as effective as it used to be, but that's still -2 armor. That's still a big deal.
Oh, it really is, and we got to point this out. I mean, yes, Clem is maxed out once again. Army supplies, though, they're even. And Clem, okay, power of mules, folks. Clem had just spent his bake. It's now back. A couple Marines from Clem will go down as Oliveira does give up the position after getting a barracks or two. But nice scan there coming in from Oliveira. Does knock down a couple of Marines. And Oliveira, we talked about how good Clem's map positioning was, jerking Oliveira around the map early on. It does seem that the shoe is now on the other foot. Oliveira is just playing this map beautifully. Yeah, there's less space he needs to control, but even still, he's getting back where he needs to be, getting ahead where he needs to be. The question, though, Steadfast, there's a quad drop about to go into the main base, and this Liberator is nice, but I care much more about this medevacs about to go into Oliveira's main.
Yeah, the turrets were not in position here. We do have a couple of tanks, but they are not enough to deal with this amount of aggression, this amount of stuff that Clem has. Meanwhile, as he draws the army to the main base, he is going to start sieging up this central location that just offers so much position. Anti-armor missile, though, and the interference matrices are going to come on in, and we can see that those Ravens, even though they were nerfed, they still provide a ton of utility in the late game of TVT. Viking's going to land to clean up the Marines. He actually does let that one medevac get away, but Clem, he might just win through sheer force of eco. Just bleed his opponent out, or outbleed his opponent, as it were. Ooh, nice interference matrices, though. That is going to save this base in the middle. Clem, very quick fingers, able to unsiege before those anti-armor, or interference matrices landed. And he even gets the nice hot pickup here. That's going to allow him to rally into his own tanks. Great defense of, I guess, that frontline position. Meanwhile, that tank in the main base actually stayed alive for a little while longer. More Marines coming on forward. Oliveira isn't repairing this planetary. I don't think we're going to have a similar situation with Cure and Spirit, but we are going to see a few tanks going down on the top side, and these are losses that Oliveira can't really afford.
I mean, yeah, Steadfast, that base is almost mined out. It feels like at this point, Oliveira knocking down this fresh base from Clem, right? It's full 8 mineral patches on it. It's arguably even a little bit more. Actually, I guess that does have all 8 mineral patches on it, and Oliveira is going to be able to make the repair happen. It's 23 workers in the advantage, but again, Oliveira has been trading so much better here. Now it's a 7K disadvantage. You got to be worried, though. This is a massive surround coming on in from Clem. And yes, Ravens are good, Steadfast. They can knock tanks down.
Oh.
Do they knock enough tanks down to prevent the 360 surround coming in?
I mean, this is starting to feel like it could be an MLG montage worthy thing. Here comes the attack from Clem. He actually only really hits from the one top angle, and the tanks from Oliveira are really raking right now. They're doing a lot of damage. Clem losing all of his tanks on the top side. Me? Oliveira's Ravens just won him this game.
Are you kidding me? It's a 270 surround, right? It's the dream engagement. But Oliveira, he triggers it just a little bit early. He knocks down the right side a little bit more quickly. And then the dream engagement turns into a nightmare. What? Everything you knew about TVT, or everything you knew about, like, engagements doesn't matter.
That was, man, that was a wild way to end that game. And I really feel like Clem, he rushed that. He rushed that so hard, and he didn't need to. Time was on his side. Time was on his side for sure. He was still so far ahead in eco. Man, that got out of hand so quickly. He was in such a good spot.
I know. I understand he left that game too. I don't even think he had. What was the supply at the end of it? He lost his entire army.
It wasn't that bad. Like, he did lose his whole army. I think the thing is, he was probably going to lose all of his production. He had like 6 barracks or 8 barracks and a factory on that third base, and there was nothing to prevent them from getting just run over. But at the same time, like, I wouldn't have minded making like Oliveira do that, you know? I wouldn't have minded making him do that.
Yeah, because I mean, Clem had like 3K in the bank, and yes, Oliveira did finally take the bottom left base, but Clem had everything else. Yes, he did lose the 12 o'clock base of his own, but he was still up like 2 bases. He had tons of minerals. I don't know. That felt like a tilt loss. I mean, yes, it was not a great position for Clem at the end of it, but I don't think he was dead yet.
Yeah, I agree. I don't think he was necessarily like I don't blame him, but I don't know. It's tough. It's tough.
All
it's right. I don't blame him too much, but we're gonna get into game number 2, and we're gonna see if Clem can recover.
All right, folks, in the bottom right now, he led in the entire game until he didn't for Team Liquid. It's Clem.
And his opponent coming through in the clutch for Kite's Gaming, it is Oliveira. And this is kind of interesting already. We've got the dichotomy of TVT, which is to say, 1 Rax Expand versus double gas. Do you ever go 1 Rax Expand? And the answer is, Clem's gonna go 1 Rax Expand. Yeah, he's going for it here. It's gonna be quite good if he gets away with it. This is probably one of the better maps to do so. There's no Proxy 2 Rax Reaper, so he won't die there. And the ramp is pretty easily defensible at the natural. The only thing is it's very far away from the main base, but it's far away for your opponent too. So any potential punish play is going to be difficult for Oliveira to pull off. But Clem is not doing this like a Korean Terran, like a Beyond or whatever, where, you know, they're just like, I don't even care. I'm just gonna hope you don't proxy 2 racks. No scouty for me. Like I'm just gonna fly by the seat of my pants. No, he's gonna double check. A little bit more fear, I guess, or a little bit more safety, regardless of how you want to look at it. But either way, he does go for what is a pretty greedy build.
And you know, Steadfast, the interesting thing about this, if we were going to see a Reaper expand, I would have thought we would have seen it last map, or, you know, on Ancient Cistern, Altitude, something like that. One of those maps that is 37 seconds across that, like a much longer map. Dragon Scales is not that. Dragon Scales is 35 seconds from natural to natural. Like it's not the shortest rest distance we have, certainly not, but it's not long. You know, it's not one of those maps where you can kind of be greedy because you assume your opponent is going to be greedy because it just takes a while to get across the map. And that does mean that Oliveira does open that middle ground idea. You know, Barracks Double Gas Factory, you get some Reapers, you get some Hellions. And he's actually doing something that Cure started doing about 6 months ago, which is you get that first Reaper, right? Or exit 2 in this case, then you drop a reactor, and then maybe... I'm sorry, that was a tech lab. I can't read.
That was a tech lab, yeah.
Never mind, I got excited for things that don't matter.
Yeah, no, at first I was like, is he doing like some kind of Marauder Hellion play? But no, it is in fact going to be just a very quick Cyclone. For me, it's less about the rush distance though, because no one's sending rallied Reapers across the map in TVT. And that 2 seconds is not going to make the difference. I was right, but I was wrong. It's actually Clem going for Marauder Hellbat here, or Marauder Hellion here. This is pretty wild. This is wow. It's a high potential build, and if it goes unscouted, it can be so difficult to deal with. The big decision point, the big situation is, do the Marauders manage to get the jump on his opponent's Cyclones? Does he manage to get a concussive shell lock, so to speak?
I'm trying to remember I don't think I haven't seen this in TVT I don't know that I've seen this in TVT in the last year, which is great because remember, Clem has 2 Terrans in the group. He only has to prepare 6 total builds maybe. Yes, Cure is going to be watching this, and this is going to be a tell, but it's not like we're Group D where like everyone's a Terran and you have to be a little more careful with your builds. So you could throw the oddball things out just a little bit more. But Steadfast, as you point out, you know what Marauders, you know what Hellions, they don't shoot up. So the Banshee that is coming out here should put a timer on this, but right now, Marauder's going to try to get on top of the Cyclones. They just tag the Reapers, though, and the Reapers will go down. SCDs are going to get pulled, but Steadfast, again, there's a timing on this. The Banshee's here, and yes, the Cyclone is falling, but this is not going to be maybe a couple workers are going to go down. 3 workers for that? Not worth it at all.
No, that was a very successful defense right there for Oliveira. It does equalize the worker count, but yeah, now Oliveira kind of gets like a free Banshee. Yeah. I mean, it's close enough. It's the ebb and flow of worker production. It's not a huge deal. The big deal is the third command center. That is the big deal.
Well, that is
and actually, this counterattack could. Oh my goodness, is the Cyclone moved out of position here? He was expecting the Banshee to go into the main mineral lot. Wait, where is the Cyclone? Yeah, wow, it is so far out of position. Oh, he even gets the lock on here. Oh, Clem though. Wow. Okay, I didn't expect that Banshee to go down. I thought it would get out of range. Still, this is a massive lead right now for Oliveira, and the supplies don't tell it. It's all in that third command center timing.
Yeah, very much a timing advantage. And Steadfast, you talk about workers, getting equalized. Remember, this was Reaper expand, or this was one. This is one gas expand coming in from Clem. So
one max expand, yeah.
You talk about, Clem brings the workers back into some level of equality. Technically, he should have been ahead there. I mean, yes, you do cut SCVs, but I don't even think the equalizing of workers was a bright side, considering the openings. That being said,
no, yeah, well, he cut workers a little bit to make that attack happen. So, no, the attack did not achieve its objective. It was looking to either win the game or get like 10 plus SCVs. He was not hoping. He was hoping to not run into a double Cyclone defensive Banshee opener. That was a very advantageous build order choice for Oliveira. So I don't know if he assumed Clem would do this. Clem has done this in high leverage matches before, even if it's been a very long time. So it is possible that Oliveira was looking for that specific build. And if that's the case, then yeah, he read Clem like a book, and it's entirely possible that's what it is. Now, this game is not over by any stretch. TVT, such a long con game, but it is a really nice advantage for Oliveira.
And you talk about Oliveira Steadfast. It's kind of fun watching this game. I know I talked about the reactor Reaper thing that didn't end up happening, but just overall, if we watch these games, it does appear that Oliveira is taking a page out of how Kira has been playing TVT on the new patch. The triple Raven idea, triple Raven push actually, as Oliveira moves out, tries to take advantage of the tempo lead that he has. Again, these are just kind of the double Cyclone opening. These are just things that Kira has been doing. So, again, interesting to see that start to percolate a little bit more. The Vikings take a decent amount of damage. Clem, he's a little bit slow there on the lock-on, and auto turret's going to get dropped. And what's the one thing Terrence has been talking about? Auto turret's not nearly as good. And the other big thing here, Oliveira, he has the second lock-on, which means, well, he technically can start to get on top of these tanks. Auto turrets get dropped. One tank goes down, second tank goes down. And now Oliveira's tanks, they're footloose and fancy-free. There's nothing really to stop them here. All the Raven energy from Clem has been used. And the next rally of stuff from Oliveira, of Marines and tanks, are going to now allow Oliveira to start putting pressure on Clem's third.
Yeah, and more importantly, they lock down this ramp between the bases. Both ramps, really. Oh, and he snipes down that last Raven. Vikings trying to come out for Clem, but we've got landed Vikings, and his bonus versus mechanical with the addition of the auto turret. Man, you can see Clem. He knows he's trapped. He knows these SCVs are trapped like a rat in a cage, and they're having a terrible time. Oliveira up 15 workers now. He's got his fourth command center being built on location. This is starting to feel closer and closer to checkmate in favor of the Chinese Terran here. He is playing some excellent StarCraft here, and really, I love this kind of reposition here because he realizes, like, okay, I might have maybe gotten as much as I can. I'm gonna see if I can just re-angle and take another good position here. There's a lot of good tank spots on this right side, and he's gonna be first on top of this command center. Actually, with his stim, can his command center survive? Oh, it's dropping so quickly.
Yeah, Viking advantage is getting it so damn low. That's a massive anti-armor missile as well, so third base will go down. Clem can't sally forward to knock down the Marines. And now, yeah, Clem, what's the point being here? You gotta go find something else. So, Steadfast, it's a TVT. What do you do when you're behind? You run across the map. Clem's going for that one, seeing if he can maybe find some sort of equalizing damage, but Oliveira's already on the way home.
Man, I'm so Pavlovian conditioned. I thought you were going to say Dark Shrine. I was like, but wait, we don't make that in this matchup. That's not how that works. Oliveira's in position, and these tanks are not going to be able to siege up in time. I think this game is over. I think Clem is dead on his feet at this point. It's 4 bases to 2. The Vikings can land to clear up the last tanks, but Oliver's not doing it just yet. Okay, there we go. Yeah, he's going to wait for the next set of Marines, and he will take the first series of the